Welcome back to Green Disruptors, Scaling the Future. Today's episode is all about simplifying what has traditionally been complicated in renewable energy operations. I'm joined by Itai, Chief Revenue Officer at VHive, a company building intelligent digital twin solutions for wind and solar infrastructure. We talk about what it really means to move from data collection to actionable insights, how off-the-shelf drones can become fully autonomous inspection systems, and why a DIY low-touch model might be the next evolution in energy asset management. If you've ever wondered how AI, robotics, and infrastructure intersect in the clean energy space, this conversation's for you. Let's dive in. Hi, Ty. Welcome to Green Disruptors today.
Hi, thank you very much, Megan. Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Tell us where you are.
I am in New York City at home after end of the year travels, QBR's budget season for next year. It took me all over the United States and all over the world. Still haven't finished, but it's actually a good sign. So things are going very well.
Yeah, I think it's sort of a miracle I can get anybody to talk to me in Q4. So thank you, especially for your time today.
No, of course.
So tell us a little bit about
this easier week. Just towards Thanksgiving, things start dying down.
That's true. Yeah. And I purposely underscheduled myself this week so that my family doesn't hate me during the holidays. But anyway, so tell us about your professional background a bit.
Oh, okay. So my professional background, I think I'll just focus on the last 15 years or so. Before that, I think it's a little bit less relevant. But over the last 15 years, I've been involved with a number of startups, mostly on the clean tech side, actually, and infrastructure side. So in general, I'd say the last 15, 18 years of my career have been focused on sales and BD on the infrastructure side, both energy and telecom, with various types of startups. Started like everybody else years ago with demand response, and then evolved from demand response into energy storage, like everybody else did, and then kind of took a detour more towards software, but stayed heavily involved in the energy side. I am a co-founder of Jether Energy, which is a pure energy trading company that trades most of the US markets and some international markets. One of the largest actual pure financial players today. And then also the board advisor and helped start Nostromo Energy, which is a thermal storage company, also starting to obviously serve the commercial property and now data centers. Everybody's focused on data centers and cooling requirements. But the bulk of my last 8 years have been invested at VHive, and again as Chief Revenue Officer for VHive, which I will elaborate more about the company, but that's kind of my professional background. Father of 3 kids and live in New York City.
Nice. Well, since I am a mother of 3, you have to tell me how old yours are.
My son's 16 and I have twin daughters that are 14. So
oh wow. Yeah. How are the teenage years going for you?
Very well, actually. They're very sweet. Sometimes they just make a face, and I understand it's part of it. I warned especially my son is teenage boys is one thing, teenage girls is so there's things to warn them. But I remember one time I warned my daughters when they were around 11 and a half or getting into it. They said, one day you'll just open the refrigerator and you cry, there's no orange juice, and you won't understand why you're so emotional. and it's part of it. And I promise I won't get upset. And so, yeah, it's just.
That's nice to talk about it beforehand, set expectations and.
Correct. And sometimes they're upset and I smile at them and they're still upset, but they also know, okay, this is part of my growth as a human. So it's perfectly fine.
Yeah. I'm actually, my oldest is 12. So we're just getting into that. Yeah. And I don't know, I'm kind of loving it so far. And it's like, if they know what to expect, and if you know that the things that they're doing are completely normal and age appropriate, it can help you be more level-headed about it. But
100%. Again, going back to why we're here, which is business, setting expectations with your customers is what sets you up for success.
I was going to say, I was going to segue there, but you did it for me. Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us about VTech, what the
VHive
technology does, or VHive.
Yeah. So VHive is a digitization platform, and what that means, or we create digital twins, and digital twins might mean different things for different people. There are different types of digital twins. What we specifically do is we use robotic resources, either a drone or cameras, to scan infrastructure, whether on the telecom or energy side. And from that, very simply, a 3D model comes in, but a 3D model is not a digital twin. A digital twin is the ability to identify issues on a model and then transfer that information digitally to other systems. And so that is in our mind what a digital twin is, and it's specifically for physical infrastructure. The company, a little bit about the history of the company. We first started really as a data. VHive stands for a vehicle hive. So it's not just drones, it is vehicles. And originally the idea was, well, we need to acquire a lot of data. And if you can take off-the-shelf drones and off-the-shelf equipment and create hives of that equipment, you'll be able to do your work a lot faster, a lot better. But once you start having data, you realize actually the real value is not in the data acquisition. The real value is in analyzing the data and providing insights. And then from those insights, providing recommendations and being embedded into the workflows of your customers. And that's really the part of the transition we did. So that's VHive in a nutshell. We have, large investors, but also large revenues. I'm happy to say that despite the fact that we raised $25 million B round in April of 2022. We have not raised more money and have no plans of raising more money, not at least for the next 2 years. A lot of that money is in the bank. Very strong revenue growth, very strong both on all markets. So that's kind of VHive in a short gist. And specifically to what we're discussing, VHive really has two verticals. The telecom vertical, where we are the number one digitization provider globally. Customers, for example, Deutsche Telekom is both an investor and a customer. So some of the biggest brand names in the world are our customers, but we're really here to talk energy.
Mm-hmm.
And we really launched recently an energy vertical. And the reason we launched it, and I think that segues into what we identified in the market, is we believe there are so I'll put it this way, competition is always great. I mean, I think it's competition is always great. And there are very, very strong competitors in the market, both on the solar inspection side and wind inspection side, with two very strong incumbents, which I don't mind mentioning the names again, SkySpecs in wind and Raptor Maps in solar. There are a few other companies and they're all strong competitors, but I believe some of them are missing certain features that we have that we can serve part of the market that I know is looking for those additional products, or I guess a different approach. So once we've identified that, we thought, okay, this is a market we want to operate in. Also, it's a market that's dear to my heart. I do love the clean tech space. I do think the energy revolution has to rely on resources that are renewable resources, nuclear as well. But I do think that's very important. So it was an easy decision to make. But we saw an opportunity, and we also personally like the industry.
So how new is this new energy offer?
So we've been working on it for about 2 years, and the reality was that we were playing around. It was more of a sandbox to try to understand what really works, what does not work. And we've identified a lot of the things that work and don't work. And now we're heavily invested. So I would say as of this summer, recently we hired a full-time head of energy with a strong background in the industry. We're hiring more salespeople globally. So I would say for about 2 years we were playing around, and again, a lot of it was due to our very strong growth in telecom. We wanted to make sure that when we launch, we do the things correctly, but also don't consume resources from our main revenue growth or main growth engine. And now we are just growing the team and growing the offering. So it is fairly recent where we're fully committed to this now.
Yeah. So what is the current moment in the go-to-market strategy and in the
So
outreach?
what we've identified is, I'll put it this way, the aha moments let's start with how the customer sees it, and then I'll discuss how we got to it.
Yeah.
So the aha moment, especially on the wind side, but also on the solar side, is that we enable the customer to have do-it-yourself, a DIY solution. They say, this Greg, which is our head of energy, is a great guy. He knows everybody in the industry. And they say, oh yeah, Greg, when are you showing up here? They love him, and so they want to see him. When are you showing up here with the drone? And they're like, no, guys, you don't understand. I don't need to show up. I don't need to do anything. All you have to do is stop the turbine, press a button on a $3,500 drone, and it does everything for you in 15 minutes. It's an end-to-end solution. So what they like is, so you mean, no, I'm not going to come in for a demo. Do you have this model of a drone? They typically have, and if they don't, we'll send a pilot with it, put it on the ground, turn it on, press a button, and see how it does everything for itself, right? Our software enables off-the-shelf drone to become a very intelligent piece of machinery. And then they realize, oh, it's not just the data acquisition, you also do all the analysis, and I own the data. So there is one platform that does everything for me. I never have to schedule anything with anybody. I can do things internally. I'm already paying technicians to be on site anyway. So now they can also fly drones with a simple 60 multiple choice question, which is the FAA 107 for drones, or take pictures with the camera, and that's it. And we own the data. Yes, they love it. So that's the offering. The difference is, so that's the aha moment for them. But what we identified, and if we put it more in business speak, is operational efficiency, which means today you have to schedule I'll talk about solar in a minute, but you have to schedule your turbine inspections. With VHive, you don't have to schedule anything. You buy a drone, it's in the shed. There was a lightning strike yesterday, press a button, the drone does it. Go, just stop the turbine. Stop the turbine once, by the way, no more than once. There's a low wind day, schedule. We don't care when and how you fly. We just know you've paid for these turbines to be inspected, and our system, the second the drone is turned on, our black box tells us it's on. We give it the go ahead to fly it identifies what it needs to fly. So it's through AI, it auto discovers everything. It understands what it sees. We get the data.
That's cool.
We analyze it, and then they can see everything for themselves. And we have customers that never call us. At the end of the year, we send them a renewal. It's the easiest one. It's like, oh, you flew great, excellent, great. And we don't. So as the head of sales, it's really tough for me that my customer doesn't reach out. On the other hand, the thing I love the most is no headache. I don't call Apple for my iPhone issues because they've solved everything. So it's the same thing. It's just a technical thing. I want to know what I have on my turbine. Once every 6 months, we'll catch up and say, hey, are you guys still okay? Do you still like the platform we've been flying? Yeah, it's fine. Everything is according to schedule. And now comes November and we send renewals. That's it. They don't want to hear more than that. So it's very tough. Sorry.
Yeah. No, I was going to ask, so is there a software subscription piece of this?
No, so we also do it very, very easy. It's based on your committed volume. So let's say, you get one price if you have 50 turbines, and you have another price if you have 500 turbines. But in general, you tell us, these are the number of turbines I'm going to fly this year. We get the asset numbers. This way we know what's going on. But that's going back to the digital information. Send that information to your asset management system or to your CMS based on the asset type and asset number. And then we just correlate things, and that's it. You did your 50 turbines, and that's what you paid for. There are no storage fees. There are no additional fees. You can have one user, you can have 50 users on the platform. It's not a subscription. This is the volume you need. I'm sure
people love that. Yeah.
Correct. It's outcome based. These are the number of turbines I need. I only want to pay for that. Am I paying for storage? No. Am I paying for users? No. Can I change user? You can do whatever you want.
Yeah. Nice. So are you going after only larger wind farms, or is it like whoever you can get in front of?
So I will, and again, there's the solar aspect as well. I'll discuss it in a minute.
Yeah, I do want to talk about that.
So on the wind farm side, we're actually going for either the owner operators or the operations and maintenance, because they also now can offer something, not just repair, but everybody can press a button and it does it for them. It saves a lot of time. And again, no scheduling or anything like that. So these are the people we are going for, and we don't necessarily stick to the large ones. The large ones, and this is a little bit about barriers to growth. The large ones will have a 2 to 3 year RFP cycle. So whatever RFP cycle we miss, we have 2 years before we can actually enter, right? It's done. It's fine. And so, and then they do have some opportunities to get in, but not in at large scale. They'll do it at over 50 or 100 turbines, even though they have an RFP, they've locked in somebody because they do want to see where the future is headed. But that's not significant revenue. Then the medium ones really have between no more than a 2 year, but typically a 1 year RFP. So that the cycle is easier, and the smaller ones will just work with you. So we just, and again, the reality is I don't have to go there. The sales effort is, do you have this drone? If yes, great. Try it tomorrow. I'll just give you a 1 turbine, 2 turbines to test it. And I'll just, here's your training course. Here's all the online information. We specifically make it easy for you. There's no hands-on because we don't want it to be hands-on. And if you don't have one, I'll, pay $400 or $500. I'll send somebody with a drone in your vicinity. He will give you the drone. You'll press the button. You'll see that you can operate it yourself. So it's our sales effort.
Your salespeople sound like their life is pretty cushy.
No, it's tough,
I'm
right?
Just teasing.
It's tough. Here's the reality. People are busy, etc. But I think the reality is we want the sales effort to be as similar as possible to the actual deployment effort. It has to be low touch. I don't want you to work hard. This is just an administrational thing that is called the blade inspection that you have to do because you want to make sure the life of your asset and the health of your asset is according to your plan and your financing. That's it. So I want to make it easy on them.
Yeah.
Of course, with the large ones, there's many, many more considerations. It's a much heavier touch. Luckily, we have the financial backing that we need,
Hmm.
and the strength of the company. You do need much more face time. There are a lot more contractual obligations. There are a lot more, but that's fine. Obviously, the reward is much bigger.
Yeah. So let's segment over to the solar side of the
Yes.
operation.
So solar is so the wind product is working and it has been working, and we've deployed it already. The solar one is being deployed. And I think the advantage, so let me take a step back. Going back to operational efficiency, flying a solar field typically, and I will get technical a little bit, is a little bit easier. Flying a wind turbine that the blades for the drone to identify where everything's at and do it by itself is more of a let's call R&D challenge.
Hmm.
If you have a single drone or a drone in a box, it knows where the solar field is. You typically, of course, there's elevation issues, right? Because it's not everything is super flat, but in general, it's a fairly easy flight pattern. But these are very, very, very large, solar farms. And remember where I said VHive means vehicle hive. VHive is the only company globally that you can take an off-the-shelf drone, take 4 of them, press a button, and all four drones fly coordinated. So if I now have to spend 2 to 3 weeks to scan a solar farm, which is very large, it's less than a week now.
Wow.
And that's
Yeah.
that's again for operational efficiency, and more so to make it easy for our customers. We already received an advanced waiver from the FAA because flying 4 drones at a time with a single user takes time. So they tested our technology, and so this actually works. A single user can control 4 drones. It's not above people, so there's no risk. If anything, it's above a solar farm. The risk is taken and there's no risk. The drones, they're small drones that are fairly inexpensive. They're thermal drones, cost about $5,000. And now for $20,000, you have drones that cover 4 times what the competitors can. And it has important, not just operational efficiency issues. Again, you don't have to schedule anything with us. It also has data quality issues because you want to be able to catch as much information in the same solar radiation in the same conditions. When you do it with 4 drones, you can cover certain areas and say, okay, I've covered it in 2 hours rather than I don't have to start calculating how is the irradiation in the morning and am I at full capacity? No, I'm flying it
Mm.
when it's full capacity of the sun, and I don't have to make those calculations. And more so, it has a revenue impact if you have trackers, because if you have trackers, all the other companies have to put it at 0 because otherwise there's too much variation. Because we cover such a large area in such a short amount of time, let's say you put it at -7 for 2 hours, one section, cover all of it, which you can't with a single drone. And then another section at +7, right? And you cover everything. And so actually, even from a revenue generation, you've lost a lot less revenue whilst the drone is flying, but the 4 drones are flying. So going back to core R&D, our advantage, whether in wind or in solar, is operational efficiency. What we allow people is to capture data much quicker and much easier, whether with a single drone, because you stop the turbine and press a button, it does everything by itself on the wind side, or on the solar side, if you do the entire farm with 4 drones much quicker. And the last thing is it's not only end-to-end, it's end-to-end for both assets at the same time, which means if you have wind farm assets and solar assets and you want a single software vendor, we're the only software vendor globally that can do that.
Wow.
And that's from a procurement perspective, ultimately makes things easier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So those are
So,
the main things we have identified that make us unique. And again, I think the industry is a great industry. I think I really like our competitors. They have very strong offering. They make us work really, really, really hard. And we're here to try to beat them.
well, I mean, that is the funny part about business. It's like you have so much respect for these people who you're essentially competing with. So tell me, like, what's maybe the big goal in these verticals for 2026, and what are some obstacles you see?
We just have, so we really have to continue our growth. I don't think we are not large enough yet in the energy space, not in telecom, but
Mm.
in the energy space, we're not large enough that my goal is more than 100% growth year on year in 26 and 27. So from my perspective, it's a startup within our startup. And the first, if you look at the VC world, 3322, which is the growth, X growth, 3x growth, and then 2x growth. And we can achieve it. The numbers are not big enough that until you get to the tens of millions of dollars, then okay, then growth will stop at the rate. But It's just growth, globally in terms of sales. Yeah, that's it. I don't. There aren't other goals. We're not going to be number one globally in 26.
Yeah.
That's unrealistic. But we are going to start making a significant impact for at least for our balance sheet and for our investors, and that's really all I care about from that perspective. We'll see about 27.
Yeah.
The amount of noise we can make by then hopefully is much larger. And I think from barriers to growth, the big ones, the ones that we missed out the RFP, we missed out the RFPs. That's just cyclical, and we'll have to deal with that. The other one is, again, it goes back to the aha moment. So, okay, when are you coming down to show us a demo? I said, no, we're not coming down. So you just have to press a button if you have the drone. If not, I'll get you the drone. And I think it takes time for people to realize they've done everything the same. And you have to schedule, and somebody has to come, and and then
People are expecting more of a circus.
expecting the same, more of the same. And no, this is not more of the same. And so we have to change their mind a little bit. It's great because then they're converted. Oh, then comes the aha moment. But it's we need to explain to people we're not more of the same.
Yeah, you don't want to lose people like pre-top of funnel because they're like,
correct.
That's
What
too
are you
easy.
talking about? What do you mean do it yourself? I don't understand what you mean. And so I think that's really the right now our barrier. But again,
yeah,
this market is currently big enough, experiencing big enough growth, and there's enough interest in, let's just say again, the incumbents are doing a great job of educating the market, but some of their customers are unhappy. And so once they hear about the DIY approach, they're like, okay, I'll try that. And some of their customers are extremely happy, and they're not going to transition even for a DIY. So it's, there will be no one solution that dominates the market completely, but we do hope to be the only solution there.
I was going
for
to
the
say,
big
get as
guys.
close as you can.
Correct. That the only one that can cover both wind and solar, the only one that makes your life really easy. And yeah, we're going to continue our growth through that channel.
Okay. Well, it sounds awesome. And it sounds like your goals are big enough to be really motivating and to
Yeah.
put the power and energy behind them. And I think that's important. Sometimes trying to be too slow is shooting yourself in the foot.
I don't have an option. I have a board of directors to report to and targets to meet.
I was going to say, you've got investors breathing down your necks.
Yeah, so far for the last 8 years, I was able to meet their expectations.
Yeah.
I hope past trends are an indicator of future trends.
That's usually the case. So, well, thank you for sharing your wisdom. And I love the simplicity of the model for both you, like your team, and how much easier you're making the lives of your customers. That's
Thank you very much,
beautiful.
Megan.
So, all right. Well, good luck, and we'll be in touch. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe to Green Disruptors wherever you listen to podcasts. Something that stood out to me was the idea of operational simplicity, pressing a button and letting intelligent systems handle what used to require weeks of coordination. That shift towards automation and efficiency is exactly what's going to help renewable energy scale faster and smarter. If you're working in wind, solar, or energy infrastructure and want to rethink how inspections and asset management are handled, this is definitely a company to keep an eye on. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time we continue to disrupt.